Oh, hello. Wow. Hello, you beautiful people.
You can't see it yet.
They can't see me yet. There you go. Hope you're all fantastic and amazing. Welcome to Viewers, Comments and Questions. Dan here.
Vic here. Hello.
Yes. So, yeah, thanks for joining us on this beautiful, sunny, warm British day. It has been hard to bear, actually. I looked at the weather for like the last 18 months and it's been, ooh, that's been a long time. It's been a long time. Yes, but thanks for joining us.
Can't you go back to Chukkara?
Well, I've been back.
Oh, that light seems very bright to me.
Yeah, I hope you've all had a great weekend. I think Mick's had a big weekend, turning down the brightness on all the lights in the vicinity.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Viewers, Comments and Questions. If you're new...
Where you been?
Where you been? Yeah. I used to work on Mountain Biking UK magazine back in the day. And when I was in magazines. And we had a feature called Where You Been in the news section.
Right.
And it was a picture of at least one of us in a wheelie bin somewhere.
Where you really been?
Yeah.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because we were so zany back in the day. Just completely zany. Can they hear us and see us, Dan?
They can. Leon Bay says, who you calling beautiful?
How dare you? How very dare you?
We got Robert. iBoy says, hello DNM from Hawthorne, California. Hope you're well, mate.
Hello, Hawthorne, California. Duncan Plexico is on. Hello, mate.
G'day,
Good to hear
mate.
from you as always.
Johannes Hogland says, hello from Finland. I'm sure I didn't pronounce that properly. Music Therapy Lads, g'day, mate. So that's rare. Sunny Monday in Britain, that's right. It's so rare, I made it up.
It's anything from sunny. It's the antithesis of sunny.
Sunday wasn't named in the UK.
Yeah. Nice. Ramuji is on. Hello, Ramuji. Michael Giliberto.
G'day, mate. Ian Boggle, loud and clear, chaps. Thank you, mate. Brilliant.
Thank you, Ian. Ian Martins, James Blessed, Mark Spurgeon, Jamie Brown,
it's all
Anthony
happening.
G,
The whole gang's back together.
Tim Parker, Johnny Rooster. I'd like to be called Johnny Rooster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's playing bass tonight? Johnny Rooster.
Johnny Rooster. Mickey the Nose. Johnny Rooster.
Johnny Rooster and Philly Chickens.
It's going to be that kind of show.
Yeah.
Planet Ross is on. Sunny but cold Colorado. See, we'll take sunny and cold.
Sunny and cold.
It's literally my favourite kind of weather,
Yeah.
sunny and cold.
When I was in Oklahoma, it was minus 15 degrees, but it was so bright and sunny. It was magnificent.
T-shirt weather.
It was really great.
Yeah. Tom Waits is on.
Oh, g'day, mate.
What's he building in there? He has subscriptions to those magazines.
He has a shipping company in Indonesia.
Who knows what Mr. Stitches saw?
Hey, Tom, good to have you on, buddy. Love your work. Curtis R, James Blessed, Daniel Mincher, Elias Blum.
G'day, mate.
We owe him an email.
Oh, yeah, we owe you an email, Eli. Sorry, you did email, and I'm very sorry that I have not replied. Eli works for Stringjoy, the strings
lovely.
that Dan and I use, and we should talk about them because they are really, really
They're
lovely strings.
Really great.
Yeah.
Really great.
Yeah.
Stygian Regis says, Dan, I bought a Hook Little Lenny. It's great. It's a great amp.
We've got one of those.
Yes, it's really great. Really great. Well done. Hurrah. Yeah.
Yes,
Rick Appleby.
Rick Appleby. Hello, Rick from Ireland, and David Grantham. Good.
Lovely.
David Grantham, do you think Mesa will release a signature AT Lone Star in the future? I think that is highly likely. Unlikely.
They would have done it by now.
Yeah, I also think going to Gibson probably changes that dynamic quite significantly, but who knows? I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting times at those brands.
Yeah, I'm not saying that going to Gibson is a bad thing per se, but I would imagine that whoever Andy had the relationship with is probably no longer there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, don't know. And he's very happy with its standard form. Although, actually, that said, one of the amps that Mesa brought out many years ago was the Stiletto Deuce,
Oh, I remember that amp.
which was kind of part dual rectifier, part Lone Star-ish EL34s, and that was the amp that Andy really liked, but they stopped making it. So he runs 34s in his Lone Stars, just so you know.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Right.
I remember replacing his valves when we went to see him in New York at the little club.
The Iridium.
The Iridium. And I was going, can I help? And he hands me a big packet of valves. He goes, yeah, swap these out. So I'm swapping out these valves going, this is the coolest thing ever. Yeah, great.
Graham says, Mick, you must have been devastated selling Blue after all these years. You had her. Interesting enough, it was a guy called Graham who bought Blue, and no, I'm not devastated at all. I was very pleased to sell it because Graham was very happy with his new guitar, and I was moving to pastures new. And I can't see guitars with genders. I'm sorry, they're not hers to me. I know some people who see them that way, and that's all good, but they're its to me.
Yeah.
They're genderless.
It's interesting. I've been going through the set for the new band.
Thank you.
And playing a bunch of guitars and stuff, and it's all sounding really good. And then I just ran through the whole set with Red.
Yeah.
And you could argue quite easily that it sounds better just on everything on Red.
Well, it sounds better to you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're happiest playing it.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's out of the. You're not thinking about it.
No,
I think, is
yeah,
probably
so
what
it's
that's
flowing.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe on another
I know
set
how you
sounds a bit
feel.
better.
I do know how you feel. Okay, before we go to the super chats.
This just in. Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, come on, then give us some. This just in music.
This just in. Beep, 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 beep. Over Mickey the Nose Taylor. Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah. Patrons, January's giveaway. 4 winners. Paul H. in Maryland. Richard K. in Toronto. Isaac D. in Hull. And Matt B. in Wisconsin. So Paul H., Richard K., Isaac D. and Matt B. We don't say their full names in case you don't want to be mentioned.
Your addresses are.
You're the recipient of new pedals, all 4 of you. We'll be
Wow.
We'll be doing a suitably large one in February as well, details of which coming soon. We just need to get permission from the people to give the stuff away, so that'll be in the next week or so. If you are a patron, a current paying patron, you will get those emails and you're in the hat. Patreon.com/thatpedalshow if you're not. To our EU friends, we miss you.
We do indeed.
In so many ways. Catherine has been working really, really hard to solve the no EU shipping thing. And there's a lot of people saying it's easy, it's easy, it's easy. It's not. It's actually really not easy at all. And it opens you up to a lot of risk if you don't tick all the boxes, which we are ticking. And we are almost there. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
What do we reckon? Week, 2 weeks?
Hopefully, this time next week,
Yeah.
we're back in the game.
So we should be in the next... Before February is out, we should be shipping without problem to the EU once again. Apologies for the break in service. It's all to do with having an authorised representative in the EU, and then we have to do other things like a load of other stuff. So
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
fun.
yeah, it's really interesting. What is nice is it's just logged me out, which I like.
There's an interesting little note on here, and it says from Rowan Rainbow. It says, "G'day from the Sunshine Coast in Australia. The humidity is crazy on my guitars since I moved here at Christmas." Yes, I was there a couple of Christmases ago, and the Sunshine Coast is going through, like, when it's hot and humid there, man, it's it's brutal. So you do need to take care of your instruments in hot, humid weather. Keep a little oh, excuse me. One of the I think I should be okay if I speak slowly. No. What are the little satchels? The little humid, water-absorbing satchels.
Silica gel.
Silica gel. Make sure you have that in your guitar case.
I'm going to get you a glass of water.
Oh, thank you.
I'll go do it.
Yeah, dry is actually worse than hot for acoustic guitars, particularly
Yeah, right.
because with a wet guitar, I mean, obviously a fully wet guitar is no good, but in sort of ordinary humid conditions, the guitar swells. Hence the need for some sort of dehumidifier. But if it shrinks, it cracks,
Yes.
and that's really, really bad news. So
Yep.
whether it's high or low humidity, all solid wood guitars really don't like it. Electric guitars, if they're in their case, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You know, solid body electric guitars, but you do have to watch out for things like fingerboard shrinking when there's low humidity, and as Dan says, places with extremes of temperature and humidity, you do have to think about it. We're very lucky in England to have a cold and damp climate
So
most
fortunate.
of the time,
So fortunate.
or at least a medium damp, shall we say?
But I remember when I was living in Mackay in North Queensland as a youngster, and I got back from a gig. I was really tired, and I left my gem in the boot of the car. And I got up at about 10, and it had been brutal, like since 6 a.m. I thought, oh, I better go and get the guitar out of the car. I opened the case, and the fingerboard had peeled off
Oh wow!
the gem because it was that hot. So one trick that I picked up from a classical musician when I was studying, she had a very old viola, and in very dry temperatures, she'd cut half an apple and put that in her little pocket in the case
Well,
to make humidity. Thank you so much, Catherine.
that's amazing. I
Catherine, ladies and gentlemen.
thought it was going to be a variation on the old banjo gag when you left your gem in the car overnight, and when you opened the boot, there was two there.
Yeah, not quite.
Anyway.
Yeah. That's better.
Anyway, groovy. I think. Shall I turn the super chats off? I'm not quite sure how many we've got. I think it's 17.
BV is on. G'day, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all of your wonderful stuff that you do.
I'll turn the super chats off so that we can make sure we get through them all. If you've super chatted to this point, they will be answered. Come on, our tube. I watched a
Your
really great video on the YouTube algorithm today. The YouTube Creator Studio people being very helpful.
Okay. as they
always
have been.
are.
They really are. Todd Roy says, Dan, it's not nice to say a woman has an old viola. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. In short, the advice is, it's not us, it's you.
Oh, that's from YouTube.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
We don't push videos out. What happens is viewers suck them in.
That's right.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. The most interesting realization that I had was actually when we went, Mick and I were invited to go down to the YouTube office in London, and we had a guy who was looking after us, and he was going to be our YouTube liaison. And we thought, fantastic, we've got so many questions. Okay, can you tell us how does the algorithm work? Oh, I don't know.
No idea.
No idea. Oh, okay. All right. No worries. Well, is there anything that we do that, you think would help, get the videos to what? No, I don't know. Literally no answers to any questions. It was just fantastic. But the restaurant they had there was lovely.
It was a spectacular restaurant.
Yep. I was stunned and appalled or in equal measure at the opulence of the place. But, at least I guess he had a job.
Yeah.
Walking around telling people,
Yeah.
he works for YouTube but doesn't know what it does.
Yeah.
There you go.
Obviously, we're biting the hand that keeps us slightly starving. No, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for YouTube, so I guess we can't be moaning too much about it.
No. It'd just be nice to have
Some
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know, don't we? We know what would work. We know some of the things that would work. And in that sense, they're right, you know. It is what people click on. It's what gets the views.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, let's move right along.
We've gone offline.
Yeah. Plexico, Duncan, thank you very much for the super chat. And very generous you are too. Thank you, buddy. He says, hi, DNM, great show on Friday. Thank you. If you were in the market for an amp in 2025 and had to choose between the Marshall Mod amp we had on the show on Friday or the long-awaited Vox hand-wired AC30, gigging and recording, what would you go for?
Marshall Mod 4x12. That's it. I mean, I've got an amazing sounding AC30, so that's, you know, in real world, that's what I'm going for. I want to do a show. I said to Mick when we walked in, because I've been haunted by that sound of that amp all weekend. And I walked in and said, right, I want to do a show and see if we can get that sound in a smaller thing. And Mick just went, no. Because like, I know we can't. I just know we can't. But I want to try.
You can't. It's to do with the flipping SPLs coming out of that 4x12 cab. It depends on your situation, Duncan, I think. I'm not sure that a 100 watt Marshall head and a 412 cab is a practical choice for many people at this point. But it does just sound glorious, and there's no other sound like it. Interesting, I was reading some posts from Guthrie Trapp over the weekend. Him and Bukovac have been doing some gigs and been having a right old time of it by the sounds of things. And he's quite pointed about stuff like volume and, you know, no modelers and all of that, and how it just makes the experience for them anyway, you know, far, far greater than the opposite of that. And I just got to say I agree, but I don't know how possible it is anymore. So we're down to the old practicality situation again. And of course the AC30 hand wired, I don't know what the specs on that are, but does it have a master volume? Does it not? For those of you who've got them, you'll know, like the reissue AC15s and AC30s to have a master volume set up. The hand wired ones to date don't. So I don't know quite what that, but it would be great to.
Yeah, it would be great
to get a listen to one. I assume they're being built in the UK, so if they are, we should be able to put our hands on one pretty easily.
Yeah. Yeah, the tricky thing with that is, you know, one of the first things we do when we get an amp that's going to be here for a long time, Mick puts some of his dub reggae house, like mega acid jazz, thrash death, cult music through it at a really loud volume, and the speakers get a bit of love. And the difference between an amp where the speakers haven't been worked and where they have been worked is huge. With my old AC30, because those speakers have been absolutely hammered, and they're, to be honest, I think they're just hanging on, but they're at that spot where they sound so good. So it's a bit unfair hearing that amp next to a new amp. And any
you got
capacity.
Got to run it in a bit. We're convinced that our deluxe reverb sounds as good as it does because it gets hammered every week.
Yeah.
Or at least it gets turned up to 10 and thrashed at least once a month. And it's just sort of shaking itself into being, isn't it?
Yeah.
But and speakers definitely seem to loosen up after they've been whacked in a little bit. But yeah, sorry, Duncan, to actually answer the question, we're going to explore the Marshall thing a little bit between us. I'm wondering if a modded, unbright capped 50 watt through that little 212 cab could get you there.
Yeah.
Or if you choose your gigs carefully, the 100 watt on a 412 would be all right as long as you can play it.
Yeah.
But it turned up loud and you hammering on it. There's no gig I can do that would be okay with that at this point.
No, I know what you mean, but I still think there's, as a pedal platform, into the when the Marshall was down, and it wasn't quiet, it was still working, but when it was clean and open,
Yeah,
sticking pedals into the front of it was just like far out.
That's exactly what I mean. But that point where it was really nice was all over 105.
Yeah, sure.
And that
Yeah, even on the clean things.
I don't know if you can. Anyway, we're going to experiment with it. 212s, 412s, 50 watts master volumes. Our good friends at Overdrive Guitars are going to help us out because they've got a whole bunch of really nice stuff. So we're going to get into that and see if it's possible.
Yeah.
As for the two, surely the Vox is going to be easier to live with.
Yeah.
Purely on physicality.
Yeah.
And then it's down to, do you like the Vox or the Marshall sound? I guarantee if we plug an AC30 in here now and crank it up, Dan will be like, that's it. That's it. That's my jam.
Yeah.
Because it's its own thing again, isn't it?
I do think it comes down to that rotating speaker Leslie show that we did was a revelation, that it is about the physical effect of the things that are vibrating in the room. And the 4x12, when it's working, that's it.
Yeah.
That is it. There's something about that sound that just connects and brings you back to all those sounds that you first heard when you were a kid going, oh my God, that's what I want to do. You know, the way that thing resonates in the room.
Yeah.
And I just there's no...
Yeah.
You can't compensate for that.
I would say recording-wise, Duncan, you might get on better with the AC30. I've reflected on this in the comments a little bit over the weekend. It's really hard to record a loud amp unless you've got a room that can take it. So this room is a little too small. One thing I know, I did the audio I started doing the audio for the James Dean Bradfield show the end of last week. And I stopped doing it because I wanted to give my ears a rest and go back to it today. I went back to it and it's just astonishing how much better his room sounds than ours.
Oh, really?
Utterly astonishing.
Okay. Right.
How much better the room itself sounds. And therefore, the room can take a little bit more volume. It's slightly bigger and the surfaces are different. So that is a huge factor in getting a good sound out of a big amp. Now, a small amp, I wouldn't say you can put it in any room, but you can put it in so many more rooms because it won't overwhelm the room. Not that an AC30 is a small amp, but it is considerably smaller than a 100 watt Plexi.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
So, yeah.
Good point.
I think if I was doing a lot of recording, I'd look harder at the Studio series.
Yeah.
The Silver Jubilee sounded great at a certain point.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of it will come down to that cab, though. Just the physicality of the 4x12 cab.
Yeah, potentially.
It'd be interesting. Because I like these 2x12 little Marshalls. I love them. I think they're astonishing sounding things.
Yeah, they're amazing sounding things. Really, really lovely. And you know, a source of great hope.
Yes. Yes.
Although I am going to try some 36s as well, just the standard 212, with a couple of different speakers in them, just to see how they work. Good. Right, let's move along. Ramuji. Stick Japan something, and I'm sorry I can't see the rest of it because it's cut off. He says, in your video on Friday, the fuzz phrase SI from Jam Pedal sounded good. Did you have the buffer in the 321 switched on or off? How do you think the fuzz phrase SI sounds after a buffer?
Buffer switched off, always on the 321. We never turn it on. So it's just direct straight through. So no, it is a silicon fuzz face, and they're not as sensitive to impedance changes as the germanium ones, but they still are very sensitive.
Yeah.
If you hit it with a low impedance signal, it's not going to be happy.
I.e. another pedal before it. Now, there's quite a few wah-wahs and other things these days that are designed to mitigate that. issue for anyone who doesn't understand. If you put, hang on, rewind. As it happens, Jam called us just before this show because they're coming to the Birmingham Guitar Show. Dan and I going to the Birmingham Guitar Show, or at least they've got a representative there. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so I asked Ilias if the input impedance of the Fuzz Phrase SI was any different than most other fuzz face types, and he said no, it's not. It's pretty much the same. Therefore, it is subject to all the same issues you get with any other fuzz face type, traditional fuzz face type distortion. Now, the unusual thing about fuzz face is it's got relatively low input impedance and relatively high output impedance, which is kind of the opposite of normal pedals. So that makes it very, very sensitive off the guitar's volume control, as you'll know with Strats. But if you put another pedal in front of it where the pedal before it will drop the output impedance, then all of that, or most of that, goes. The cleanup is weird, they sound weird, and then you're into this whole, do I put my fuzz or my treble booster first? Where do I put my wah-wah? And all those things that people with fuzzes have struggled with over the years. And then the answer to those of us who love the vintage fuzz thing is deal with it. Don't put anything in front of it if you possibly can. Although I've got to say, I put my Jam Wacko in front of it, and that doesn't hurt it too much.
Yeah, I think with the wah, because it's that filter,
Yeah.
and you're expecting,
Weirdness.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're not going, this is going to fatten my tone up by adding this wah pedal in. You're expecting that sweeping filter.
And the same goes for things like treble bleeds in guitars, active circuits in guitars. They just, for me anyway, they mess with the traditional fuzz too much to make them worth having. Now, it says a great deal for the 321 that it remains completely tonally transparent when the buffer's switched out. So we can use it, can sit in a loop of G3, no problem. So, Dan and the team at the Giggery have done a great job on making sure that you can use it with devices like that. But unless you particularly like the sound for some reason, don't be putting a pedal before it if you can get away with it. But I really, really like that Fuzz Phrase SI.
That sounds great.
Dan tends to prefer germanium fuzzes. I tend to prefer silicon ones because they sound a bit harder. And I like the way that in a fuzz face anyway, when you turn it up, they get really bright and insanely loud.
When you turn the volume up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
below about there, they sound kind of nondescript to me.
Yeah.
But when you get them there, especially a fuzz phase, it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everything changes.
Yeah, for sure.
On the volume, that is, not on the fuzz. So I hope that answers the question. Michael Giliberto. Hello, Michael.
G'day, mate.
Hello, D&M and all TPS people. Many thanks for a string of great shows. Pedals, amps, rig challenge. No one does this as well as you. Well, that's
Thank
kind
you, buddy.
of you.
That's very kind.
No one's dumb enough to do this, I think is probably the answer. When's the Argo coming out? We think soon. Zach was going to come over, but his plans have changed. But I think soon. We're just waiting to hear from the Metalwork guy, but it will be within the next, month or 6 weeks with any luck. I just need to hear back definitively from Zach when it's going to be. But yeah. Daniel Thornton. Hey Daniel, he says, Guitar Gear Pub Name Challenge.
Guitar Gear Pub Name Challenge. Okay.
So he's opened up with the Prince of Tone. He's got Leslie's for a bar, which is quite nice. The Archer and Rat. The Three Knobs. The Marshall's Stack. Champs. The Squire's Muff. The Hook and Loop. These are great. Okay, so you know what to do. You need to come up with a pub name. And for those of you unfamiliar with British pub names, they're usually called things like the King's Head, the Three Chuffs,
The Dog and Duck.
Yeah. So please, let's have your pub name, your pedal pub names in the chat. Daniel, thank you for an awesome question.
I drove past one the other day, which is called the Bunch of Grapes.
Yeah.
Which was, I think, where everyone with hemorrhoids hangs out.
There's a bunch of grapes in Bath. Yeah.
I just got a message from BV. He says, Dan, can you tell the nice people what day you'll be at the Birmingham Guitar Show, please? So we'll be there. I'll actually be there all weekend because for the first time in 18 years.
You're doing a guitar
Gig
show.
Rigs at the Guitar Show. But we're going to be there on the Sunday? Or the
Yeah,
Saturday?
we're TPS is doing a thing on the live stage on the Sunday.
Right.
Not a band, don't worry, no music. Only guitar chat. The minstrel's hangover, says Scott Curry. The prosthetic arms. Oh,
This is brilliant. Gareth Johnson, the swollen pickle.
Oh,
This
bless
is
you,
awesome.
Gareth.
David Pekarski, the faulty cable. Planet Ross,
the lost
Twiddle and Noodle. The
This is
broken
great.
lead. Oh, this is gold.
Mark Guitar, the Trem's arms. Excellent.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Oliver Boyson, the Ram's Head.
Yeah, the broken lead.
This is wonderful.
This is good. This is good. The Ram's Head, obviously, Oliver Boyson. You just said that, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably exist already.
Magic. Ah, David Tompkins, the Plug It In.
David, you win the internet so far today. If anyone beats the plug it in, good luck.
That is magic.
Good luck.
Well done.
Good luck. Oh, that's really spectacular.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. That's really fun.
Simon V. RDJ. Hello, Simon. Good to hear from you. He says, hello, DNM. Thanks for signing the Monk pedal for me. Thank you for buying it,
Oh,
buddy.
right. Thank you.
He says, I'm very grateful. I'm a gamer on the side and I use Discord a lot to chat to folks. Would you consider a TPS Discord server for folks to chat to each other? I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
No.
I'm not down with the kids.
Yeah. I think we would always try. Well, actually, Simon, there's two ways. One is there's a TPS fans Facebook group, I believe.
Sorry. James Blessed. The Brothers in Arms.
Oh.
That's very good.
Yeah, I mean, because you've got in, as in pub
Yeah,
in.
The Brothers in Arms.
Is he spelled with a double N?
No, just N.
See, double N
Brothers
would
in
have got you a
Arms.
gold star there, James. I've been listening to Brothers in Arms this last week.
Yeah.
And I keep saying to Catherine, who's now bored of me saying it, listen to this.
Yep.
And it will be like Ride Across the River or Why Worry.
Yep.
Or I say this is one of the best selling albums of all time.
Yep.
It would never happen now.
Well, the one thing about that album, that was the first time I recognised production.
It was the first album to be released on CD, wasn't it? I think.
Was it?
Or one of the.
Okay.
I don't know if it was the actual first, but it was. Yeah.
I just remember lying on the floor with the speakers on either side of my head and just listening to the album back to back over and over on the floor for hours. And I just couldn't get away from how magnificent
Yeah.
everything sounded. And the guitars from Brothers in Arms was haunted me. Was such the song.
Yeah.
And it was just great. And I was trying to work out the chords and stuff for ages, but it was so beautifully done.
It's
I really love that album.
It's so back as a record. I mean,
Yeah,
Money for
right.
Nothing and Walk of Life notwithstanding.
Yeah.
The rest of it is so back.
Well, Money for Nothing was the first song ever played on MTV.
Was it?
Yep.
Huh. They play guitar on the MTV. You know the story? Do you know the story?
I do not.
I correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but he was in a cafe, I think, overhearing two delivery drivers talking. And that's the basis of the lyrics.
No.
Apparently so. Apparently
Okay,
so. Apparently
fantastic.
So. Do correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, Pippa Smith says Love Over Gold was the first album to be released on CD.
Okay.
Wow.
It was certainly there. It was in the early days of that. And it's just remarkable when you hear it now. I mean, it wouldn't get a second listen these days.
Right.
Because it's so back. And so, I mean, Money for Nothing would, obviously, it's always going to be a great single, but
Oh, sorry. Apparently I was misinformed. Video Killed the Radio Star was the first one on MTV. Money for Nothing was the first one on something, though. Anyway. Yeah. That album was so massive.
yeah. And it had a picture of a guitar on the cover.
Yep.
We've come a long way, Danny. So yeah, Simon, we'd probably point people towards the Facebook fans group and to the TPS comment section and then to the live comment section. If there was anything else, it would have to be independent and not dealt with by us, because it already takes literally all of our time to stay on top of the TPS comments and the sort of official places. So having another place, but of course, by all means, somebody set one up.
Yeah.
If you want to do that. But Dan and I physically don't have the wherewithal to be in those places.
Yeah. Well, Rob Brewer says first on MTV Europe. There you go.
MTV Europe, eh? Daniel Langst. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, mate.
Daniel Langst. He says, please read above messages or just pass along to another lucky bugger. Thanks, D&M. Above messages. I don't know what that means, Daniel. I'm very sorry.
I do have a question here, if that would be helpful.
It would.
So, AS says, Dan, do you still have the OX4 pickups in your Les Paul? I'm looking at buying a new Les Paul, but I don't like the 60s burst bucket pickups that come in them. Would you still recommend the OX4s? So, I think, to answer your question, yes, the OX4s are still in this guitar. I've tried loads of different sorts of humbuckers in this guitar. I bought it with the OX4s in it. I loved the sound of it when I heard it. I tried a bunch of different pickups, didn't like them as much, put the OX4s back in, and that is how this guitar shall stay. Mark makes a really wonderful pickup. There are loads of really great aftermarket PAF style pickups. OX4s, absolutely. Lola makes great pickups. But of course, Matt and Monty's makes a tremendous PAF pickup. There's a bunch of different ones. What's the Lola ones? They're called the
Imperials.
The Imperials. They're really great.
And Imperial low wind. I've got the low winds in my 335.
Yeah, and that
Bit
sounds
brighter
mega.
sounding, yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ones. But yes, the OX4s are still in here and still sounding rather spectacular.
Yeah. Did you say you've actually got the guitar? Did he say he's got the guitar?
He says, I'm looking at buying a new Les Paul.
Yeah. I mean, if you have experience of those pickups and you know you don't like them, that's one thing. But if you've heard them on demos or people just say they're not very good, do give them a listen.
Yeah.
It's funny. I found numerous new Gibson pickups to be quite woolly sounding, the Alnico ones anyway, which is why I replaced them in the 335. They were just too dark sounding for me. But the ones in the Leicester, the gold top custom buckers, are super bright.
They're
Well,
the
super
best.
bright for a PAF
Yeah,
type.
yeah, but a spectacular sounding guitar,
Yeah,
obviously.
and they're
And
standard
they're straight
Gibson
out of the,
pickups.
yeah, right.
So I definitely don't want to change those. So what I'm saying is give the guitar a chance before you make the decision. Because you might find that the combination of the pickups and the guitar is something you weren't necessarily expecting.
AS says, not yet. About to make a decision. I've had the pickups before and sold the guitar because of it.
Okay.
Now I miss the Les Paul, but want something less bright and harsh.
Oh, less bright. Okay.
Interesting. I think because these pickups, I like bright because I play a Telecaster mainly, and I need to be able to put this guitar on and not change anything. So it took me a long time to find a Les Paul that had a real snap to it and
Yeah.
that worked. And this pickup, yeah, it really works for me. But yeah, they are bright. I don't know. Turn the tone control down.
Yeah, turn the tone control. The nature of the most vintage correct PAF types, they will be bright because less potting, etc., etc., etc. So maybe a more modern pickup might suit you a little better, or a slightly overwound one, because they tend to get darker as they get a bit more overwound.
Job on at NASA says for the name of the pub, the Harmonious Monk.
Oh,
That's very
Nice,
nice.
nice. Yes.
Oh, AS says, Dan, your Les Paul sounds bright and snappy, but not harsh. That's what I think I'm looking for. Okay, that is a really good point. Yes, bright and snappy, not harsh. Interesting. I think you can get pickups that are bright but still high output, and I think that might be attributing to some of the harshness. The low wind, old school PAF types, they're not high output, and they sit equally alongside a nice Strat.
Well, my Les Paul is actually less loud than Dan's telly,
Than Red.
which isn't hard.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, a nice set of low wind, low output PAFs. I think that will see you right, my friend.
Yeah. Just while we're there, I'll skip forward in the super chats a bit because Executioner's Bong says, Toes, I just picked up a 2015 Classic 60s Strat in Canary Diamond Yellow. Loving it so far, but what are your thoughts on the stock pickups? Thanks for all these knowledge and much love to the TPS fam. Yeah, and to you, Executioner's Bong. Okay, Classic 60s Strat. So that would be a Classic Series Strat, I guess, from the Ensenada factory. 6-screw bridge. Or if it's... they did a Classic Player, which had a 2-screw bridge. So it could be either of those. I think the pickups were okay.
Right.
I think you just need to have a listen to it and decide if there's something you want to change. What is that thing you want to change? And then the route forward should be fairly clear from there. So, yeah, I had one. When they first came out, I had one, which would have been before that. And I can't remember what I ended up putting in there, but I think, standard Fender pickups and standard Gibson pickups for that matter, in these days where so many retrofit pickups are available and we're all convinced they all sound better, sometimes it's a good idea just to live with the standard pickups for a minute and decide what it is you don't like about them. Yeah. If anything.
Yeah, for sure. I've sort of made a rule now if I'm buying a guitar, which I've got all the guitars I need. The only guitar there's a couple. Sorry, I'm talking myself out of not buying any more guitars. But I want to buy the guitar that sounds great as it is. I don't want to go messing with stuff unless I pick up the guitar and it's so resonant and stuff, but I can tell, there's going to be something else there. But I really love picking up a guitar and going, that's the one. I'm just not going to mess with it. And then just crack on with playing it.
Yeah, and borrowing the money to buy it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dear Mr. Visa.
Yeah. I hope that's not too woolly, Executioner's Bong. It's so hard to say. It's so hard to say what you might like and what you might not like. But if you play it, listen to it, decide, is it too bright? Is it too brusque? Is it too this and that? And then, of course, the difference between 75 dB and 105 dB is just massive. Yeah, the guitar will sound totally different at volume and react. So try and get it in the environment where you're going to use it the most and go from there.
Scott Curry says, I'm not buying any more guitars. Ooh, that looks lovely.
Yeah.
But they are lovely. They do look lovely. I love having them around. They're amazing, aren't they? They just look amazing. I just want to be surrounded by them all the time.
Mike Hewitt. Hello, Mike. He says, I own a 2-notes Leclerc, but didn't like the way it sounded into the front of my combos or power amps. Into the return of my Marshall Vintage Modern, it sounds like a Bassman.
Oh.
Anything smaller to try? Is it supposed to sound like a Bassman?
I've got no idea. Anything smaller than the Leclerc to try? As a valve preamp, I would be looking at the Maiden. I think it's a spectacular, used as a pedal, used in the effects loop return. I think it's a really great, clean thing. Obviously, it's designed like a Dumble, like the clean stage of the Dumble, is that right? Without the first gain stage. Or the secondary gain stage, I should say.
The Kingsley Maiden?
Yeah.
He does different ones.
Right,
So there's the Maiden D, I think I don't know if it's Maiden F or Maiden BF or something like that. Anyway, a more Fendery one. And things always evolve with Kingsley pedals, so it might be that the thing that we're talking about has been superseded. But in some form or another, the Maiden will exist. with more Dumbley architecture and more Fendery architecture, depending on what you're looking for. I'm trying to sort of understand your question. I think what you're saying is you just don't like the Leclerc in any fashion at all, i.e. you don't want it to make your Marshall Vintage Modern sound like a Bassman.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there. Crazy Tube Circuits have just brought one out. A fully featured pre.
Yeah, was his question though, is there a smaller thing? Because
Yes.
if size isn't the issue, yes, the Crazy Tube Circuits one, Sakalis have one.
Actually, it's Sakalis who I'm
Sakalis,
thinking of.
the mothership?
Apologies, I'm getting my Greek pedal companies confused.
There's so many of them.
The Mothership, it's called. The
The
Sakalis
Mothership is
audio
great.
one.
The Blackbird by Effectrode.
But that's not small.
No, that's not small either. But that's the reason I said the Maiden, because it's compact.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I suppose the question is, you're going for this preamp thing because you want a different preamps kind of sound. Because there's the Victory V4 series as well, which have a tube in them, and you can also patch them into your effects loop so that you can use it either in the front as a distortion box, or you can use it as a full preamp. Or if you're not getting satisfying results, Mike, maybe just look at going back to a simple bit of gain stacking. Use the amp and then just use normal pedals to take that whole situation away. Because you're saying you're going into the front of your combos. Although you do say you've got power amps. It's hard. I loved it. I loved it for a while using the Kingsley stuff.
Into a power amp, into the Mesa.
Really love it. It was for that project, it was entirely
Appropriate.
yeah, and clear sounding and all the rest of it. But then sometimes just plug into the front of an amp and it's like, oh, that's
So good.
a guitar amp.
Yep.
And there's no mismatching of components
That's
here.
right.
It's all just working together as one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But we would say that hands down, Dan and I would both choose, pardon me, would both choose the Kingsley stuff
Yeah.
as a first choice at somewhere significantly north of anything else.
Yeah.
That's fair, isn't it?
Yeah. I love his stuff. There is things like, I say the Blackbird because the Kingsley doesn't really have anything like the Blackbird, and there's something the Blackbird does that I absolutely love.
I never heard it sound good, I'm sorry to say. But
Oh, okay.
I know people who really love it.
Yeah,
but
when I hear Paul play it, and there's some crunchy things in it that I think sound really good. But for a preamp into a power stage, definitely the Kingsley stuff. But then I was with Ed O'Brien last week, and the page has gone back in his board. He's gone. I just was mucking around with it. I put it on. He goes, I cannot believe I've forgotten how great this thing sounds.
Yeah.
Kingsley stuff is just so solid gold.
Yeah. Actually, I'll revise that. Good is not right. Great, I would say. I've heard it sound good. There's something about the headroom, the delivery, and I found myself just tweaking, though this is the Blackbird, just tweaking it endlessly, going, should I put that switch there? Should I have more of that? More of that? Should I? And just always going, I want this thing to be louder and more urgent.
Right.
Always. Whereas the two Kingsley things next to each other, it's like, oh my
It's all
God.
there. Yeah, right.
There's enough there for forever.
Sure.
Anyway, personal preference.
Yeah.
Personal preference.
No, because I love the Blackbird. I think it's a wonderful sounding thing. I think, but again, it all comes down to how you play, how you strike the string, will make so much more difference than
all the difference.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. There's quite a few products out there that do it, aren't there?
Oh, there's another company called Peace Hill
Right.
in Japan who are sending us some stuff to try, and because Robin sent me a message that says, hey, I've just seen this, what do you think?
Oh, nice.
And it looks amazing.
Cool.
Yeah. We'll do another Dumble show.
Yeah.
Because these are like little Dumble preamps. And all handmade in Japan. They look really, really incredible.
I will give one final shout out. I've just remembered Hagerman.
Oh, yes.
Jim Hageman has sent us a bunch of stuff. There's a 12AX7 booster, and there's an EF86 booster. They're not preamps as such, but they are really, really, really great valve overdrives that are super simple and quite affordable. Hageman, Hagerman.
And, of course, the Kaluna, which is always
Oh, the
sounds
Kaluna
great.
is a great valve overdrive, yeah. But I guess we're moving away from
Preamps.
aren't
Yes,
we?
yes. The tricky thing I find is having a preamp that doubles as a pedal,
Yeah.
as an overdrive pedal.
Yeah,
Really tricky.
They're different jobs, aren't they?
Yeah,
They're doing
but-
different things.
But Kingsley does that better than anyone I've heard.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah. Chris Smith. Hey, Chris. Good to hear from you, buddy. He says he's got some Peace Hill stuff. An ODS and an SSS, which I'm assuming is Dumble-inspired stuff. He really likes them.
Awesome. Yeah, can't wait to try them. They look incredible.
Yeah.
And a lovely chap as well. He got back to me today.
BB says you really need a couple of comfortable chairs. Those steel stools are torture. We've been sitting on them for 10 years and I'm all right. But Dan has recently admitted you don't find them very comfortable.
That's okay. I've got if I sit with the guitar in my lap, I'm fine.
Right.
You know, when we were first looking at doing VCQ, do you remember the chairs that you found?
Yeah.
The little cocktail chairs?
Yeah.
They're like this high.
So, you need something with some height on it. Otherwise,
do.
the camera's always staring down into your ball area, which is never great, especially when you're holding a guitar. Because obviously that's where the camera needs to be looking. Also, anything creaky causes all this kind of problem. See, I'm trying to make them creak.
Yeah,
but
and now
they don't creak too much, but like leather chairs creak terribly. So
yes,
I am up for some new seating though, because we're talking about redoing the studio.
hammocks,
We've yet to.
TPS hammocks.
Nice.
Oh,
I've yet to have any. No one's had any idea about how we redo the studio, but we are bored of it. So,
tire swings.
yeah.
Come on, man.
Nice. So it might be that we could think about our. I would prefer to stand personally because
That's a nice idea, Dan.
I play the guitar better
We're
when
going
I
to put
stand
it on the
up.
fridge. Going to put it right here on the fridge so you'll walk past it and see it every day.
But of course, it's quite hard to stand because then the camera has to follow you around, and that's a whole other bunch of problems. Anyway, blah blah blah. Dormant rocking chairs. Now you're onto it. We can just skip out the next little while and go straight to the rocking chair.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And just slowly turn to dust.
Frankie Holt says gator stools with the backs are comfy. That might work. Although I like the no back thing because it forces you to keep your back in a good position.
Yeah.
But he said suffering a bad back. Anyway.
Tim Houston says no one sits in an ergonomic chair when they play guitar. This is true.
No. That's what we need. A couple of Eames loungers.
Eames loungers. What's an Eames lounge?
It's the lounge chair you always see on when anyone's got a nice apartment, and there's that famous old chair.
Oh, okay. Not like a Chesterfield.
No, and there you go. One of those.
Oh, come on. I love that.
So that's the reissue. Dan's just bulking because they're £8,500 for the reissue. And a vintage one.
Are you joking?
Maybe add a naught to that. Actually, no, vintage one would be about that as well. Or you can buy a copy for 640 quid. King of Tone, Landlord Effects, Prince of Tone, whatever it's called.
Okay.
For anyone who doesn't know what
That's outrageous.
an Eames lounge chair looks like, it looks like this with ottoman. And that one in that particularly nice grade of brown is £9,000 from Heels.
Oh, boy, oh boy.
Couple of those? You'd be like, I'm literally never getting out of this chair.
Can't afford to get
I
them.
need to
Yeah.
need to get
Yeah.
value for money out of
Yeah.
it. It's the same though, isn't it? If you showed somebody a 2-rock
Yeah, that's
who
right.
doesn't play the guitar and you said, if you want this and this, it's 9 grand or 8 grand, they'd be like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, Dorman says, Dan surprised at a massive price of vintage share, but doesn't balk at a burst. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, completely.
So it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter what game you're in, stuff is expensive.
The good stuff is expensive.
Well, the expensive stuff is expensive.
That is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
As good as arbitrary. It's subjective.
Yeah. Yeah. Although they have stood the test of time in a seating situation as good seating.
Okay.
Anyway. Let's move along. Who did we miss then? Because we went to Executioner's Bong. So we're on to Iron Wolf 1776. I'm considering the purchase of an AC30CH head. Do you have any opinions on them? I already have a 412 loaded with greenbacks. So I don't know what this AC30CH head is. It's obviously something that's just been released. At NAMM, was it?
Isn't that the head version of the one that we've got?
Oh, yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, okay.
And
So-
if that's the case, get it.
Yeah, it's the standard one. I don't know what it'd sound like through a 412. We like them in open backs with 212s for the classic Vox noise.
Yeah, I want to hear. I have played my matchless head through my little Marshall 2x12 closed back thing.
And you like that?
It's very big. Once again, I say, yeah, it's great.
We like those master volume new Chinese made Voxes.
They sound fantastic.
Yeah,
I
I've
love the little AC15.
always been able to get a good sound out of it.
It comes with reverb.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful reverb.
And tremolo.
And tremolo, yeah. Tremolo and reverb. Oh, tremolo and
Tremolo and reverb.
reverb.
Reverb. Do you know, was it Spitting Image back in the day? And they used to send up the way posh people would pronounce things. So they'd have Andrew Lloyd Webber saying he was going to Boortz. Which was boots.
Oh, that's very good. That's
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, worth a try. And I suppose if it doesn't work with the 412, you could look out for a 212 cab. In time, where are you? US dollars. You might even be able to pick up a Dr. Z 212 for sensible money.
What a great cab.
Yeah, it's a really spectacularly good sounding 212. So, yeah. We should do that. We should put the AC30 into a 4x12 and see what happens. Never done it. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I've made that AC30 so that we can do that quite easily.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Buzz Crumhunger says, I cannot take folks seriously who say tremolo.
Tremolo.
Custom hardwired, says Frankie Holtz. Okay, so it's not the Chinese one. It's a new custom hardwired
okay.
one. Yes. Elder Shen says, a rock and sock drum throne with back support. Yes, only if they're high enough. If they're too low, it's problematic for all kinds of reasons. Anyway, I think that's what Andertons use. But what then your knees are always by your chest. So, are you all right?
Yeah. It's just speaking to me.
Hi Z Low Z says, what's the difference between a preamp and a regular pedal? You'll need to go and watch one of our old shows if you want to know that. But it's output level, output impedance, etc., etc., etc. They're two very different things, even though some pedals call themselves preamps and they're kind of not.
There are so many not.
Yeah.
Lee Weatherall says that pedal show bar. That'd be fun. That'd be a fun bar.
It would totally interest me.
We have some good bands on.
Yeah. Rasmus Threen, Mick and Dan, what's your approach to hi-fi audio? Do you like vintage or new stuff? Thanks and keep up the good work.
Well, I don't get a lot of time to listen to music at home. If I do, it's in headphones when I'm practicing. Most of the time I'm in my car, which is why when I bought my car, I made sure it had a really great stereo system. So I would say 90% of the music I listen to is in my car. But I would love a really great turntable, power amp, or the Shenanigan.
It's nice if you've got the time to listen to it. I started buying bits and bobs of 90s hi-fi gear
Yeah, your system sounds amazing.
a while back, and it's mix and match, so hi-fi people would laugh at it, but it sounds pretty decent. But same as Dan, I don't really get to sit and listen to music, so the majority of music I listen to, same as him, is either in the car or on some dreadful Bluetooth speaker, which I... Actually, Marshall have just given us a really good one.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, which is in
Bless
the
them.
common room for experience days. And that, if you turn the bass down to like 2 and the treble up to 8, that sounds really, really good. But modern Bluetooth stuff is all too bassy. It's all got too much of that fake bass that is great if you're listening at 0.5 watts. But if you start listening at any sort of appreciable volume, it's just too much. It's not balanced. But of course, the kids like it, and it's very arresting.
Yeah.
Rewind to the comment about Brothers in Arms. Probably wouldn't sell 5 copies if it was released tomorrow, because it's just too back.
Yeah, it would have
No
a
one
lot
would give
to,
it the time of day.
It would have a lot to compete with.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone would be bored by the 4th bar
Yeah.
of the intro of the 2nd song, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, blah, blah.
Someone asked me if I saw Thomas Blug, his Blue Guitar X at NAMM, and I did. And stopped and had a great chat, and he took me through it, and it looks really great. It's his updated Blue Guitar thing.
Oh, cool.
And it's really good. It's really nice.
X being high gain?
No, I think... Yeah, maybe. There
Maybe.
was loads of everything from clean to high gain and stuff.
Oh,
But it
cool.
has some built-in effects and stuff in there as well. You know, always analog drive-through. Yeah, it sounds really good. Handy thing.
Thomas. I hope Thomas is doing great. He's such a good guy, Thomas. And he's
such
obviously
a good guy.
flipping unbelievable guitar player.
Killer
but he's just
guitar
he's a
player.
lovely, 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 lovely human.
Yep, and he lives and breathes it.
Yeah,
It's really wonderful.
yeah. Whit Anderson. Good day, Dan and Mick. Good day to you, Whit.
Good day, chapeau, sir.
I use the Marshall SV20, which is the plexi type with a 212 cab. Plenty of punch for gigs. Never liked the effects loop on it. Honestly don't understand where it sits with a non-master amp. Much love from Woo. Yeah, so in the video on Friday, we mentioned that the 1959 mod doesn't have an effects loop, which might seem like an omission, but when you consider the whole post-phase inverter master volume thing, there's no sensible place to put it where it wouldn't overdrive your reverbs and delays potentially, so better to leave it out, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of signal in those sorts of preamps. Man, my stomach is making a riotous noise.
Have you enjoyed a healthy and nutritious day, food-wise, Daniel?
Pretty much.
Oh, good, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Apart from the trip here,
yeah.
my healthy, nutritious day was going. I'm still really hungry.
Yeah, we got into it a bit on Friday in the video, and as utterly glorious as a cranked Marshall is, 10 10 10 across
All
the
across the
board,
board.
where most blokes, etc. As glorious as that is, we both prefer it back from there. So, with the master as absolutely as open as it can be without killing you, and the front end dialed back a bit where the master volume mod has been done, and indeed on the master volume Marshalls that exist. And that's where we like it, because then it functions as a pedal platform, and if you use boosts and things, you can get into that Marshall lovely thing, but not full out in the Van Halen sense. That you do need to crank the amp for that, but
Yeah.
that's not really what we like it for. I like it for the weight,
Exactly that.
the 100-watt weight.
The sense of it in the room. To me, it's the same sense if you walk in, you hear a Leslie. You walk in, you hear a 4x12 just working, and just like, whoa, it's just so amazing. And not to say that, open backs don't have that sense. If you get a super, or, whatever the amp is that it's working, you still get a sense of that amp vibrating and working in the room. But hearing a flippin' 4x12 closed back resonating, it's reality. It's a sense of real stuff happening in that space. There's nothing like it.
There is nothing like it. There is nothing like it. I've got this little sort of dream. Hopefully, it's a vision.
Tell us your dreams, Michael.
Of an ensemble.
This is when you need that £8,000 couch to lie down. Tell me your dreams.
It's not even a couch; it's a chair. It is an ensemble that can play with ferocity where required, but has immense dynamic headroom.
Yes.
And a sound engineer who understands that.
Okay.
So the music has great dynamic range, and it's loud when it needs to be, but it's also quiet when it needs to be, but has the power. So it's quiet but powerful, and it engages you in that way that only analog sound can engage you. And that's I just don't hear it at gigs anymore.
Call the band Grayskull. By the power of Grayskull.
And I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying I don't really see it. And I mean, the closest thing would be someone, if you go and watch Landau play or something like that, Michael Landau. That's the closest I've seen it actually happen in human form. And I think you could do it if you used a 100-watt Marshall and the guy on the big guitars playing an Ampeg.
Yes.
And it's a mix of stage and out front sound in a small to medium room. Obviously, once you get into the bigger the stages gets, the harder it gets. Because I don't know if you've found this, but as the stage gets bigger, if your amp's really loud, that's literally all you can hear.
Yeah.
Unless you've got IEMs, which don't want to do. Nobody really wants to do wedges anymore. So the venue is important, and it needs to be those sort of small to medium venues where the room sound and the collective sound of the ensemble is mixing with the front of house.
Right.
And I just haven't seen many places where people are prepared to do the work to make it work.
Yeah, I've seen enough places that I know it's still there. I think, depending on the venue, like with the venue in Swindon, the Vic, and I've played there loads of times, and the sound guy's really enthusiastic. Always gets a decent mix out the front. There's some really great bands through there, and he's happy to work until everyone's happy. And there's loads of venues out there that do have those guys that are really into it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
Right.
And what I usually see is either cacophonous noise, where everyone's fighting each other to be heard,
okay,
and singers just moaning that they can't hear their own voices, or I hear like two-dimensional pap, where you can hear everything but there's nothing moving you in the sound, where obviously everything's virtually silent on stage and it's basically a record mix coming out over front of house.
Yep.
Which I'd just rather not hear that.
Sure.
Because it's lifeless, and I think it could occur. I think it could exist.
I agree. it does take a maturity of the musicians on stage to mix themselves on stage.
Yeah.
When the guitar lifts, the drummer has to lift.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you've got a drummer that's very light and can't, I think the drummer will dictate the maximum energy level on stage.
Mm.
But as long as you've got a drummer that can bring it, that's what the Paul always says, you know.
Yeah, but also who doesn't think it's a competition.
No, exactly. And that's the maturity.
Yeah, yeah.
It's everyone's listening to each other, you know, making it musical.
Yeah. And that is, I mean, we sound like old farts here, but that's coming back to actually being in an ensemble that wants to play music collectively together as one unit. And I still find that quite a rare occurrence because either everyone's too busy, they're not getting paid enough, the singer hates the bass player, etc. Right?
Indeed.
Anyway.
Sunder, just to say, it says you're having problems balancing the volume of your Big Muff and your V2 electric Mistress. When you have the Mistress engaged, it makes it quieter, yes. And this is after adding pre-gain and less post-gain. So I'm assuming you've got a G3. You want to add post-gain because it's the output of the muff or you know, it's the overall output that's making it quieter. If you add pre-gain, you're just going to add more gain to the input of it. You want to balance it by increasing the output. So I hope that helps, bud.
Guitar Time says, do you have a distributor for your merch in the USA or Canada? No, we don't. We do ship to the USA and Canada pretty much every day. The shipping, certainly to the USA, is free over $50, I think.
Look.
Canada, it's not. Sorry, we can't get the deal with whoever the courier company is.
Burgundy.
That's nice.
Love it.
New merch.
New merch.
And some fill-ups of stuff we haven't had for a while.
Yeah.
So no, we don't. If we did have a distributor in the USA and Canada, it would end up being more expensive than it is now because we'd have to pay them and we'd make less money. So I appreciate it might be a few dollars more, which is a brilliant spaghetti western for a few dollars more, I think. Clint Eastwood. But it's our number one source of income and it's how we fund the show. So when you buy a shirt, I guess it's partly because you want a shirt and it's partly because you want to support the show. And for that, we're grateful. But yeah, if we had a distributor, we'd just lose a huge margin.
Yeah, for sure.
And it wouldn't be worth doing. So, or it would be less worth doing. Unless there are any new majorly massive import taxes imposed, in which case things could get very interesting. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Indeed. Oliver Boysen says, Dan must have loved when Inhaler decided to use gig rig stuff. A young band actually playing loud amps on stage in today's age. Yeah, Inhaler are really wonderful. If you haven't heard them, go and see them do their thing. It's really great. There's a bunch of really cool bands. My favourite, I shouldn't say my favourite, but like in the last few years, I remember going to see what's the it's like I haven't been blown away by a band since I'd seen Biffy, and it is man, sorry, my brain's gone to my stomach.
Tim Harris has gone in with a good pub suggestion. Tim Harris, the Major and Minor. Minor as in a
very good
minor.
Very good.
Two blokes in army and mining outfits on the sign, but holding instruments. And neither knowing which key the song is in, which I would really like.
That'd be a great thing. Everyone's on stage and you have to start in the key and commit and play the song all the way through.
Ah,
that would be brilliant.
That would be ace.
Yeah, I love that.
I'd love that. The Distort In says Dormant.
Distort In, very good.
Hi Zed Low Zed says Fistful of Dollars. Yeah, I think there was Fistful of Dollars, but I think there was a sequel for a few dollars more. I think. I could be wrong. Yeah. Buzz Cromunger says, give Dan a snack, get him some jerky. You eat that? You eat jerky?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amish Trivedi. Hello, Amish. Or Amish. I'm sorry if we're pronouncing that wrong. He says, finally back to having Mondays free to TPS Live.
Yay!
Waiting on a Benson Germanium preamp and debating where in the signal chain to put it. Much love to the TPS fam and hope everyone is well. We are, thank you. We are well. Likewise, we hope everyone's well out there. Right, Benson preamp. I think we've got the Germanium, but for the time being, I'm just going to show you this one, which is the non-Germanium one.
Idols. Sorry, just to get that out. Idols. Yeah, can't see them. Sort of freaking loud guitar amps on stage.
That is an arresting experience.
Yep. Really, truly astonishing.
We do. I thought we had the Germanium one somewhere, but maybe we don't. So a while ago, Chris and the team at Benson came out with preamp, which is an overdrive pedal, which has almost enough output to be used as a preamp, but actually just sits on the board as a really nice bass and treble volume and drive, so you can get loud and clean, or you can get lower and distorted. And I think he said it's basically the first set, the preamp of one of his amps, didn't he?
Right, yeah.
But obviously transistorized.
Transistorized, yeah.
No tubes in this. So option one is to run it at the front of your pedal chain.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that? A preamp or just a gain stage?
Yeah, so for limiting and distortion and overdrive and lovely feely goodness.
And of course, then you can boost into whatever pedals you have after. So if you have other pedals after, boosting into them will increase the distortion in those other pedals. Or you could have it at the end as an overall tone shaper, because you've got the bass and treble EQ, so you can sort of use it as the final shaping stage before your wet effects, which would mean that you can sort of balance out the overall whatever, and you could have a overall gain boost as well, or you could have it right at the end after everything. If you have it right at the end after everything as an overall master volume and tone shaper, you're basically then seeing it like the front end of your amp. So you do need to be careful with how much overdrive you run in it, because if you hit it then with wet effects such as delay and reverb, they're going to start sounding splashy and crashy, which is cool if you want that, but most people, this mythical most people we're always talking about, everyone and no one, most people tend to prefer the reverb and delay cleaner sounding, so you don't want to put overdrive before it. So you can put it at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end, depending on what job you want it to do, and that goes for any overdrive pedal.
I did have a think today about, I got emailed a question about wet dry, and the way that we were using the tape delay in the second channel, the amplifier.
Yeah.
Thought there's a really cool way actually to do a faux wet dry into one amp, where you split the signal into the gain stages. You got one side that's compressed and maybe even a bit overdriven, the other side quite distorted, but the compressed and bit overdriven side is the side that goes into the delay, and then that gets mixed back together.
Nice.
So that you still got the edges in the delay and it's not being hit with a square wave.
Yeah.
Giving you like essentially the wet dry thing, but then mix going back into one amplifier. I thought that would be a really fun thing to try.
Well, let's definitely try it.
Yeah.
Let's definitely try it.
Yeah.
T. Garda says, apparently Clint Eastwood was allergic to horses the entire time.
No.
Well, that would explain why he looks so pissed off all the time, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So I was about to sneeze.
Rasmus Thrain says, hello guitar experts, I know you're mainly interested in blues and softer music. Blues and softer styles of music. Are there any metal, hard rock bands that you like? Rasmus, here's a fact for you. I was editor of Metal Hammer magazine. Just chew on that for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man, I I had a gem and you know, learnt Eat 'em and Smile when I was 17.
That is just edging into hard rock, I think.
Yeah, but it is still rocking.
It's rock, isn't
But
it?
then Sabbath, what would you call that? Hard rock? I did tell you what though, I recently got turned on to what's the band with the masks? Slipknot.
Yeah,
Oh man, they're amazing.
they are utterly amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The musicality of
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
incredible. I mean, Carnival is like prog metal, and I love those guys. Yeah, as long as it's musical, it's really easy when you know your music. You get the music that you like, and you see. I remember first hearing of Cradle of Filth, and I just thought, that's awful.
Danny Filth used to phone me up.
Really?
Yeah.
Please put me in the mag.
No, he had a column in Metal
Oh,
Hammer.
did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Danny Filth. Brilliant. But and I remember seeing the imagery of the band I just mentioned, and
Yeah. Well, Kiss started it all, didn't they?
they did. Yeah, they did. But I mean, they're those guys with their masks and stuff were like really brutal.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying it just got more extreme.
Oh,
didn't it? And
it
Kiss
was
were
more
rock
ridiculous.
bands, they weren't
Yeah,
metal bands,
exactly,
were they?
exactly.
Yeah.
But I let that put me off listening to that music for a long time, thinking, how could Slipknot? You know, it's like it just sounds awful. But then I listen and go, man,
Oh no, it is incredible.
I missed out
It's
on
incredible.
years of listening to that music because I was put off by the imagery.
Yeah.
But then the musicality in it is
Yeah.
just incredible. The performances, the vocal performances, sonically, just wonderful. So yes, if it's music, if it's good music, man, I'm in.
Yeah, I don't really. I can listen to. I did like the stoner thing for a minute, but I like that because it was bluesy
Right.
and it had swing.
Sure.
So like Orange Goblin. Actually, maybe even some of the earlier Josh Homme stuff. Was it Caius? Was that his band?
Oh, okay.
And I don't mean to squash it all into the same genre because I know that metal people get very annoyed about all of that, but that was one hilarious thing about editing Metal Hammer. It's like you got all this, the whatever this metal is over there and all the whatever that metal is over there and all the this metalers are over there. And then they all
They're
turned
all-
up to the Crowbar wearing the same shit every week. Sorry, metalers. You could make sweeping generalizations about us old blues farts as well.
I think I've told the story before when I was managing. I used to work for an agency. We used to book bands at all the walkabouts and a bunch of pubs, and they had this metal night on that I was asked to go down and just see what was going on. And you walk in there, and everyone was drinking. What's it called? Newquay Brown or some sort of ale.
Newcastle Brown Ale.
Newcastle Brown Ale. And they're all dressed in just death. And the music would be on, and it'd just be, and then everyone just stood around just like this. And then another song would come on, and it'd go, and the whole place would just jump on the dance floor and go nuts. The next song comes on, everyone clears the dance floor. I'm like, what's going on? Losing my mind. But it was what was really cool about that.
It's just a subculture.
It's
and
a
people
subculture.
agreed with it.
Yeah, and it was
they
great.
Congregated around it. It's
There
wonderful.
wasn't a single violent incident
No,
all
no.
night. It was
No.
loads of girls there. Everyone was welcome. It was really cool, actually. It was nice.
Yeah. But I never. Once it stops swinging,
Yeah, sure.
I struggle. I do love classic blues and soul music, and that's what appeals to me. And I also like a bit of country as long as it
Yeah.
swings a bit, and as long as I like the cleanly produced to a point,
Sure.
and right until it becomes pap
Yeah.
radio, and then I
yeah.
really don't like it. But so metal for me was always a bit straight ahead, and genuinely, and I don't want to upset anybody, I couldn't understand what they were all so pissed off about.
Yeah.
You know, like I could understand somebody singing a blues song and why they were singing it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe. I think
And for me, it all felt like, I know people express themselves in different ways, and thank goodness they do, and that's great. I always felt the hardest music you could ever play, the most arresting music you could ever play, was to stand up with an acoustic guitar and tell people how you think.
yeah,
For
sure.
me, that's the hardest music there is. It
Yeah.
doesn't hit me any harder than that.
Yeah.
So I guess I just maybe it's a point in time, but I love it. I love the sound of some of it.
Yeah.
Like Maiden, I could listen to all day.
Yeah,
I love
see,
that sound.
Maiden.
But that's not. I don't really think of it as metal.
Yeah, right. And there's things about Maiden that I liked. There's things about Maiden was almost a bit what's the
Cliched, contrived?
yeah, like what are those little plays you go to at Christmas time?
Pantomimes.
They're almost a bit panto.
Yeah, well,
With the theatrics on stage and Eddie coming out like a big puppet. Because I always found the artwork of those guys terrifying.
yeah.
And I thought they were amazing players. And what's the singer's name?
Well, the most famous singer is Bruce Dickinson.
Oh, there were different singers. I only know Bruce Dickinson.
Paul Di'Anno, was
Okay.
it, to begin with?
But hearing
Am
like
I wrong there?
some of the live stuff and hearing Bruce Dickinson sing is like far out, man. The guy was just an absolute powerhouse. You know, amazing.
He was lead singer from 78 to 81.
Right.
Um,
Who did Run to the Hills?
Bruce.
Bruce. Yeah. See, that's incredible.
Please don't tell me I've got that wrong. Pretty sure it's Bruce. Um,
Oh, that was a rabbit hole.
yeah, it was, and I agree with all the comments. It's
Yeah,
like, you
agree
you
with
just
that,
whatever you
completely.
love is what talks to you, and it's just wonderful that those enclaves exist and give people a sense of sort of communal being. T. Garda says metal people are often so incredibly friendly while looking dangerous. I find that funny, but I appreciate it. Yeah, and I ruminated on that many times why that might be, but it was definitely my experience.
Yeah.
On Hammer, it was just great people, always great people.
Who's that really muscly?
Kerry King,
No.
Mr. T.
No.
Ain't getting on no plane, fool. Hulk Hogan.
He's a singer.
Oh,
He's a singer in a band, but he's
Disturbed, the guy from Disturbed.
no, it'll come to me. But he's quite political, but he's an incredibly
Henry Rollins.
Henry Rollins. Oh
I had
my
a-
goodness!
I had a P next to Henry Rollins once.
Nice.
He did a really great band. He really did a
Because you
really
can say he did a really great B.
he did a really great album with some. It was sort of like a. It was almost like psychedelic rock meets Henry Rollins hard rock, and I forget what the album was called.
Right.
It might have been called Get Some Go Again. And there was a really cool guy, maybe called Jim, who played guitar, had a big headstock Strat and Marshall, and they were flipping ace. I think it was called Get Some Go Again. I could be wrong.
But he was, he would go on stage and just be brutal and epic for a couple of hours, and exercises all the demons, comes off, and he's just lovely. I think it
His
is an
spoken
outlet.
word stuff is good too.
He's so eloquent.
That-
He's so
okay,
eloquent.
So people like Rollins, I get.
Yeah.
And I would put him almost in the same category as Tom Waits or Frank Zappa.
Sure.
You know, they're so into what they do.
Yeah.
And that's just who they are.
Yeah.
And there isn't a mask. I feel like there's much less
Yeah,
of a
sure.
mask. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And I am drawn to that.
Yeah.
Loads of people will probably contradict me now,
Yeah, no, it's great.
saying that he's not like that at all. But
No, he seems really sound.
yeah.
Yeah. I dig
Fred
it.
Wolf, metal gigs are often social performance therapy. I love that, Fred. That's a nice thing to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I remember going to see Idols, right? And seeing they do a song called Collide. And this is at the O2 in Brixton, the Brixton Academy. And you've got the floor, this massive area down the front where everyone's going, just losing their minds. So it starts Collide and he separates the crowd. And everyone, like this massive gap. And you know, the song's building up. Then he just goes, oh! And then everyone rushes towards each other. And bang, and it's like this. And then this one, I remember watching this one girl was hit and dropped to the floor. And everyone stopped around her and made sure she was okay. And it was really interesting. They are super aware that they've got this energy that needs to get out, but they're also very aware of everyone around them not wanting to be, you know, really dig it.
Community.
Yeah, really is it
Community.
yeah, and they being into that stuff is like they have that in common and they value it, and I really dig it.
Nonum Linus says, any thoughts about progressing your musicianship with the Boss RC10R? I just purchased one and saw the video you guys made 5 years ago. Mick, have you made progress? Mick? No. I often, when I see people using loopers, I'm like, yeah, what a great way to play along and, you know, expand ideas and stuff. But I just never have the wherewithal to do it. And it's just straight laziness, I'm afraid.
It's not laziness. It's not. It's just like it's not inspiring you at that moment, and that's fine. It's not laziness.
I think it would be a really great thing to do, and I think it's a really good idea because A, it helps you play in time. B, it helps you explore things harmonically, which just isn't in a vacuum.
It doesn't help you play in time if the rhythm track you put down is out of time.
I'm sorry, I'm assuming it's quantized to bars, but maybe it's not.
No, it's just
okay.
Yeah.
But even if it's not in time,
You're playing along with something.
you're playing along with
Yeah,
something,
for sure.
so you're not just playing free.
Oh, they're fantastic. They're really cool things. Yeah. I mean, you see, because obviously Danish Pete is really great at all the looping stuff.
Yeah.
I got into a little bit with the timeline. There's a great little 60-second looper in the timeline that I used to use in songs and you know, do bits and pieces with, and it was really cool. But I'd just much rather put on a jam track that had changes, because the problem I have with a looper is you could play a groove, but if you wanted to do something that had changes in it, you'd have to play the whole thing through, then play the part with changes, and then go back to, and then loop that. As opposed to just going, just play along with an album. You know, and also, it's easier for me to play along with someone that's got a groove and a drum beat.
Yeah.
Than, you know, but
I like it for developing ideas. I like, you know, because
absolutely. For developing ideas is brilliant.
We've had conversations before about why Dan and I don't jam more, and one of the reasons is because I'm just not. I need to play something like 25 or 50 times before I feel comfortable enough in its form.
Right.
Once I feel comfortable in the form, then I'm happy to play it, because then it becomes muscle memory, and then it becomes. I don't mean necessarily playing the same notes. I mean understanding what's going to happen and being able to hear what's going to happen, because I can't do it like instantly like good improvisers can. And looping's really good for that.
Yeah.
Where
brilliant.
maybe you don't understand even something as simple as a, you know, dominant 1/4 change. Even as something as simple as that, knowing which notes you can and can't play, or which notes you want and don't want to play, should I say. So if you go around that for half an hour, by the end of the half an hour, what you were able to do at the beginning of the half hour is this, and at the end of the half hour it's
for
that.
sure. Because also at the start of it, you use up all the things that you know in the first 10 seconds, and then you're pushing yourself to explore and push a bit further, and that's really cool. They're definitely great things, no question.
Todd Roy says it's made me a better player, I think. Yeah. Nonum Linus says, that's interesting, Dan. Jamming with albums. Yeah, of course. That's what we all had to do before Loopers. And
I remember, this is a real moment for me. I was in the studio, EMI Studios, I think it's called 301 in Sydney, and I was playing for an artist. It's astonishing, talented girl. Used to play cello with Max Sharam when I was touring with Max. And her name was Sophie. Anyway, the bass player that was in on these sessions was this young guy. And he was just like absolutely astonishing. I couldn't believe how good this young bass player was.
hello, Rose.
And he was playing a fretless bass, and everything was perfect and in time. His groove was just to die for. Honestly, he's like one of the best bass players I've ever heard. And I said, how did you get so good? Because he was really young. He says, oh, I've just spent my life jamming along with albums. And he says, so as far as I'm concerned, I've been playing with the best rhythm sections in the world.
There's a lot to
And
be
I'm
said
like,
for that.
Oh, okay. Absolutely. If you want to work out grooves and stuff, playing along with the dudes, it's a thing.
Have you left the mini key, Bebbers?
Yes, I just had to get your keys.
Okay.
Potatoes.
Potatoes. Catherine's going to Pilates. So the dog is now in our care. Yeah, play along to records. Why not?
Yeah. Very dear friend of mine, Paul Wheeler, who's an astonishing drummer, plays drums in Ice House. And he was also the drummer in Max. And he, again, the same thing. He just grew up playing along to albums. And his favourite band was The Police. And he sounds just like Stuart Copeland. He has a lot of that in him.
Yeah.
But he also was into, Genesis and early Genesis. And he's the guy that got me listening to XTC.
Oh, well.
So, he had a lot of that in his playing. And his first,
Trombone.
exactly. But he did one pub gig when Ivor Davies, the singer from Ice House, saw him play and went, "You'll do." And the next week he was on tour in America. Yeah. Amazing.
Where are we then? I feel like we've got a bit out of sync here, but anyway, classic 60s Strat we've done. Hello, Sailor Effects official is on.
G'day, Joe. Hope you're well, mate.
Hope you are, mate. He says, hey guys, hope you're well. We are. See you at the guitar show, we hope. Thank you for proving once again that 100-watt plexi is nature's loudest flex. You are the last bastion of loud when the rest of us slum it with the Oxbox. Well, wouldn't say slumming it as such, but yeah.
No.
You've got to remind yourself once in a while.
Well, okay. All I would say is, remember where we started? In a cupboard. But there were things that were important to us. And the direction was always ending up in a place like this where we could turn up loud. Because we were playing loud from day one.
Yeah.
And
I've never not played loud.
Exactly.
I've never not played loud.
Exactly. So it's like, this is the only way that we can get across the sounds of stuff that are important, that we connect with. We have to be loud. So we end up with this. And it's great. But it's because that's what's important to us. If playing loud wasn't important to us, we could have gone a different way.
Yeah, and before all of this, if I didn't have a band on the go, I would still hire a rehearsal room and take loud guitar amps there. Not every week.
Yeah, me too.
Probably once a month.
Yeah.
And of course, I had the great benefit of guitar, whatever facilities guitarist had, which certainly wasn't many, but it did offer the opportunity to play loud regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reeves Electro.
Hello, Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus. He says, get the High Watt fixed. Yes. Was talking to the guys at High Watt in LA, and we're going to head down. They're going to sort the High Watt out for us. But that is an amplifier that I am thinking things. I mean, it's a Harry Joyce High Watt. I wonder what it's like with the outside pair of valves taken out.
We should get it mended.
Yeah.
Figure out what's going on.
Okay. There's a little guy in here. But here, there's nothing.
Evening, lads, says Paul Matulovic. Hey, Paul.
G'day, mate.
Good to hear from you. Just rewatching Favourite Gear of 23. Had me curious what your favourite gear, acquired or not, was for 24 last year. Did you have any favourites last year?
The SG. The 62. That was a moment. The Z80.
Hard to remember, isn't it?
Amazing.
I can't even remember what came out.
It's all just a blur.
I
It's just a...
I think I had a bit of a sense of humour failure for most of 2024 on new gear, which is not a reflection necessarily on the new gear market, but a reflection of perhaps my own state of mind, which was increasingly getting frustrated with complication because maybe not having a consistent project to focus on meant that everything's always changing the whole time, and being in that mode of, oh, this is new, need to do that, need to learn it, blah blah blah, gets your head out of playing and into the gear. And also definitely had a moment of thinking that all old gear sounds better than all new gear,
What do you mean?
which isn't true, but it seemed it, because we were returning to things like the favourite tube screamer, the favourite tube driver, the old Hughes and Kettner Rotosphere, experiencing all this analog stuff, going, I just prefer that stuff.
My whole life is based on that. My whole career was one day being a studio going, why does this old hunk of junk sound so much better than all this new stuff?
And that,
Damn pivots left.
like I say, is not necessarily a reflection on the gear market, more a reflection of a state of mind, because what's happening outside of that is plenty of companies, Dreadbox, Chase Bliss, Earthquaker, Empress, Keeley, are doing things that are actually moving forwards and doing things that are really interesting in new formats. But perhaps I'm certainly not in a frame of mind to be open to that, because it's not the sound I want to make. But hopefully there's a load of other people who are. And it's an interesting question for TPS. How far down that rabbit hole do we go?
Absolutely.
Because I'm still going, oh my God, 100 watt plexi is all I want to hear. It's, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm thinking
Red
about...
Wing, obviously.
Yeah,
Red Wing.
I'm thinking about... Because I've got this new band, which is going to be really fun. And I'm making choices that are going to be appropriate to doing these songs.
Yeah.
It's all very
you have
70s.
to have context.
Definitely.
You have to
Yeah,
have context.
Definitely. Which is why I want to do a show on getting the phaser. So much phaser in 70s guitars. It's honestly, man, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. And it also, with older ears, I don't know, maybe you're different, but I had to relearn a bunch of Stevie Ray stuff for a band that's reformed. And some other things. And I'm hearing stuff in those tracks that I never heard first time round.
Yeah. Because you're listening to them with different ears now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that whole approach to what goes on the board completely changes. And then it's how much do you want to get there? I started making a vlog, and I guess I should put it out, but I realised I was just disappearing up my own backside in the way that only TPS can, or predominantly TPS does. And it's like, oh man, none of this matters. It just doesn't matter. So I'm now at the point where I think I'll finish it, where there's a hard cut and it's like, sod this.
Right.
100 watt plexi, 412, fuzz, overdrive, delay, monk.
Nice.
And I can do everything I want to do with that. And I think my head will be in a place of going, I don't have to think about this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Wet dry, goodbye.
Yeah.
2-rock, goodbye.
Okay.
And maybe after 3 months of that, I'll be like, get out of town. I need to go back to the wet dry.
But
and
sometimes you
all
need
this.
to go there to come back.
I think you do.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you do, and it's healthy to do it. Now,
I was seriously contemplating using the AC-15 in Princeton for these gigs until we did the show with the Marshall.
but then you might get on your first stage, do the first gig, and the Marshall's like master volumes there, and the
Yeah.
sound guy's going absolutely not.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then
there's-
it all has to change again. So
yeah,
it's all
we got
about
keys and backing singers and stuff, but it depends on the stages that we're going to be doing. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. So it's all about context.
Yeah.
Favorite gear. I can't. Did the Thorpe Boost come out in that year, or was that the year
No, I
before?
think it was the year before.
Yeah,
The Heavy Water.
it's bad, isn't it? That pedal show. Literally no idea what came out last year. Hudson Motorcycle I liked.
Yeah.
Was that last year?
Red Wing's my favourite pedal of last year.
Obviously.
And maybe my favourite pedal of
Obviously.
this year as well.
Yeah. Oh God. That's it, isn't it? We've disappeared up our own jacksies.
Well, I don't know.
We need to start facing outwards again.
Yeah. I'm going to do because I haven't done a project like this ever. So I've done loads of bands and, played live forever, but actually doing my own thing where, I'm choosing the songs and the format of the band. It's going to be a different take on the gear, because there are songs that the guitars need to be thrust forthright, but there are songs where it's just there's keys doing its thing and just a little bit of phaser on some neck pickup, doing a bit of stuff in the background. So it's going to be a really interesting setup, but I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be really
great.
fun.
Just get it rolling.
Yeah.
That's the hard bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Electricity. Is that you, Ali? Oh, it's Steve. Hello, Steve. I'm assuming this is my good friend Steve Atkins, who I was in a band with many, many years ago, and who went on to be in a band called Electricity. Steve says, have either of you suffered any hearing loss following years of volume? That's what I was left wondering following the Plexi review.
I'll just say, for me, I'm very fortunate. I had my ears tested not long ago, and no, been very fortunate. One thing about having where we sit, where the guitars are, I mean, it's loud, and there have been days I've gone far out. That was hurty today.
Yeah.
But we're not doing it for very sustained periods of time. We're not doing it with drums and bass.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my ears have been absolutely fine. I have had...
We've both had incidents of things like compacted earwax.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Causing pain.
Yeah. I've got a little bit of that at the moment.
Yeah. And no doubt there will be damage because it's just a physical fact. And I suspect our hearing loss is around average for age.
I had one tested last year,
Yeah.
and it said it was the best hearing test it's in 4 years.
Oh wow! So
Yeah.
it's pretty good. I think mine's pretty good because I still do critical audio work.
Your hearing is amazing. What you can pick out is incredible.
Yeah, I don't know how much that's to do with hearing and how much that's to do with knowledge,
Yeah, but there's
because they cross
hearing
over.
is a big part of that. I think you'd be surprised if you get your ears tested. They're
But-
pretty bang on.
But Dan's right that with the amps down there and us sitting where we do, they sort of come out underneath our legs. So and this room is very absorbing. There's not a lot of very hard. My ears hurt more if I go for a loud rehearsal with the band and I stand next to the ride cymbal.
Hobo right, it says cymbals. Absolutely right. Cymbals are just death.
Yeah. Now the damage is being done by bass frequencies and stuff that you're maybe not perceiving as pain. Don't get us wrong. The damage is being done, but unfortunately, it's physiological. So some people are more prone to hearing loss than others.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not going to affect everyone in the same way. However, we are both aware that there is an element of risk in what we do.
Mm-hmm.
As for the earplugs thing, I just think I use them as a kind of necessary precaution. Like on experience days, I'll use them, for example. So if someone's maybe not massively experienced using a loud amp, then I'll have the earplug in because
it can be hurty.
at that moment where I say, please don't turn it up to 10 and whack it, that's exactly when it happens, when my ear is like 8 centimeters from the cone of the speaker. So for that reason, I'll use earplugs. And sometimes if we get really loud in here with a high watt or a Marshall and I can tell, then
and it's just going for volume.
I'll stick one in.
Yeah.
But generally not. And I think we're okay.
I can't use them in gigs.
No,
I can't play with earplugs in gigs. It
just turn it down.
Yeah.
Because it destroys the experience for
Yeah.
me, even good ones.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the point of playing at a volume and then having to turn it down?
Yeah. Where
No?
I use earplugs, if I'm at a restaurant or at a pub and everyone is screaming to be heard over each other,
Yeah.
I find that excruciating.
Oh, do you?
Excruciating.
Oh, that's not good.
If there's when people start speaking in a really high pitched voice and yelling, and it's like, and then she starts laughing, and then it's all really, it's like,
the yelling
oh
thing.
man,
It is
it's
distracting.
really
I use them
hard.
I use them at gigs. At modern gigs, I use them.
I remember sat in front of Bonamassa with the earplugs in, thinking this is going to be just awful. Not awful. I think it's going to be really loud. And I was like, actually, this is
Yeah,
really
completely.
lovely.
Yeah, I use them at sort of modern gigs where it's just that modern gig sound that I just don't understand.
that digital desk thing
Just
going.
weird.
Yeah.
And there's like 12 dB of 4K on the vocal, because that's the one that's going to get it heard. And it's like, what? Why are you doing that?
Yeah, sure.
But anyway. No, Steve, I hope you're well, buddy. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. And I hope, after your question, I hope you're not suffering too much with that, because we know people who do, and it's depressing. Do you get any ringing?
If we have a loud show,
Yeah.
I can get it a little bit for a couple of days.
Yeah. I get the odd, where you click into the wee.
Yeah, and it goes. "Ee." Yeah.
8 seconds later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's probably a bit of damage being done. Don't mean to be too nonchalant about it, but it is what it is. I think if I'd have been playing in the band that me and Steve played in when we were kids, if we'd been playing in that for 40 years, or it would be 33 years now, 35 years, I'm pretty sure there'd be some fairly serious hearing loss at this point.
Right.
That's the band where I took my 50-watt boogie back because it wasn't loud enough.
All right, man.
Remember that, mate? Flanagan's? We shall ride that horse again. And actually, Steve had the 50-50 power amp into a Marshall 412, if I'm remembering correctly. With
Nice.
a pre. And yeah, we were loud. We were loud. Yeah. Casey Cole 4001 says, listening to music too loud in headphones did way more to damage than any bands ever did. Yes, headphones, and also I know people whose continued use of early IEMs has caused them a lot of trouble as well.
Yeah. My son listens to music so loud in his ear things. I'm like, Zach, and he listens unaware, and I take out one of his things and listen to it. It's like, it's so loud. That does worry me.
Max Headroom, no question from you, buddy, so I'm sorry if we've missed it. I will just check that there isn't a question. That's from Max Headroom. No, don't think so. Don't think so. Okay, few more to go. Brian Carpenter. Gents, Brian, how are you? Brian Carpenter. Gents, what do you think is the most versatile type of modulation? Which do you think you can get the most usable sounds out of? For me, it's chorus. I think I agree.
Yeah, if you've got a chorus where you can change the delay time, that's the most usable one. Because then you've got chorus and flanger. Get a chorus where you can change the mix, then you've got your vibrato. Stick another delay line in there, you've got dimension.
Up the speed, you've got your rotary speaker.
All that stuff.
Faux rotary speaker, that's how Landau does it.
Yeah. The big thing, chorus where you can change the delay time. That's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dan always has flanger as his first modulation. If you only have one modulation, it'd be flanger, wouldn't it?
Yep.
And of course, if you've got the Red Wing, then that can cover all that ground that we just spoke about. For me, it's harmonic tremolo. I like harmonic tremolo and rotary speaker. Dan likes flanger, phaser, and chorus.
Yeah.
That's fair, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the music I love tends not to feature that other stuff other than in post-production.
Right.
But the music that I love most will have certainly tremolo and certainly rotary speaker, as in the real things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think you're right. Chorus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Royal Albert Hall, 2 flaming 100-watt stacks each. Eric and Jack. Ginger, like, what am I supposed to do then? Cream, we're talking about. Yeah, nice question, Brian. Thank you. Mel Combariati. I hope we said that right. Mel? Hi, boys. I'm still grinning from seeing Dan at NAMM. Missed Mick. Sorry, Mel. Hope you find a good question in the chat to bring up. Just delighted to say hello. Well, thank you, Mel.
Thank you, buddy.
Very kind of you. Let's find one from the chat then.
And loads of people in the chat saying they've gone on and bought t-shirts and some merch. Thank you so much. Really makes a difference. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
John W777 says, "What can one make candles out of earwax?" Smell pretty grim, wouldn't it? Right, Arel says, "Hello, I love the last episode. Congratulations for the show, amazing as always. But now I need a Marshall. Did you ever check out the JVM 410H? I think it's quite interesting."
That's the heavy distortion one. At transistor back end, I think it was like a solid state back end.
I wonder if H stands for hybrid. I know that Kev, who is the new Marshall marketing manager, likes that amp.
Oh, interesting.
And played it in his bands. Or if H just stands for head. 4-channel valve head.
Oh, okay. Then no, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, so it's just the full-on everything amp. Yeah, so 4 channels of all of it, all of the above. No, we don't. I haven't tried one to my knowledge.
No.
Dan and I tend to steer away from multi-channel amps.
Is that the Vintage Modern?
Yeah, Vintage Modern was one they reintroduced with KT66s.
Right.
That first came with purple Tolex, and Paul Gilbert was using them for a minute. That was a really cool amp, actually.
Yeah.
I like those.
Yep.
I think they were KT66s. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, multi-channel amps, although they they were the thing, weren't they, in as amps developed, because they seemingly offered all things to all people. But what in our case anyway, what tended to happen was we'd like maybe one channel and preferred just to use pedals than have to go through all that
mucky
muck. But we get that it totally works for a lot of people, and of course Mesa Boogie probably ruled the roost in that world for many, many years.
Yeah.
With the evolution of the Mark II into the 3, into the 4, into the 5, rectifiers and all that, loads of modes, loads of channels, PV, I guess, big in that world too.
Yeah.
And all amp companies of the day offering all things to all people.
Yeah. You know, the first amp that I heard that I thought I could probably use with the multi-channel thing, it's the TS1.
The 2 Rock.
Mm.
Oh, good, because it's only like many thousands.
I know, it's so silly. But when I heard it, it's like, that's the clean tone.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Oh, and that's the overdrive tone. Okay, how did that happen?
That'll do.
Yeah, but then the Mark II, when we had Martin in here, his like the evolution of his Cornford,
The MK Overdrive.
the MK Overdrive, that thing was immense.
Yeah.
Really, really
Yeah,
amazing.
did a good job.
Yep.
Did a good job. Yeah,
But it's a hard thing to do.
I use the second channel in my Lone Star sometimes, but I never used it for lead stuff. I used it for rhythm stuff.
Right.
So use the clean channel with pedals for all the big, massive, loud noises. But then when I needed a lower volume, gainier sound, I'd use the second channel.
Right.
Because I found that once you go to the gainy channel, you can't go anywhere from there. There's
Yeah.
nowhere.
Where do you go from there?
Well,
All
most
across-
blokes.
No. All across the board.
Good. Hopefully that answers that question. Thanks, Mel. Perilous Temple. Hi, Mick. Hello, Perilous Temple. Have you tried H&K after delay? I assume... Oh, yeah. Have you tried the H&K Rotosphere after delay? Of course, I'm thinking Gilmore, where all his stuff hits 2 amps with the rotary. Afterwards, love what you are doing, but need more like 90 minutes. Yes, okay, longer shows. Yeah, I haven't experimented with it much before anything because I've just immediately jumped to going, it's a rotary speaker, therefore it needs to be after everything, including after reverb. And so it is after delay. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also haven't used it on its own. It's always been wet dry, so it's always been its own separate thing where there is a dry amp present. So by using the delay before the rotary, what's going to happen is your delays are going to get mangled up in the rotary speaker.
Yeah, sure.
So you use Gilmore as an example. One of the things we explored on the why rotary speaker pedals suck, which caused a great deal of butt hurt out in the world, is because it's a separate thing. So Davy G's high watt or whatever it was, with the delay running, is completely separate from his rotary speaker.
Yeah, that's right.
And that, I suppose, solves a lot of the issues with trying to pump a delay into a rotating speaker where you're going to be getting these lovely repeats that are kind of... So no, I haven't tried delay after the rotary speaker. I haven't tried that. I know you've asked, have I tried it before? Yes, because that's how I run it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even that, I did some rehearsals with the old band. And as flipping fantastic as it sounds, I just don't know if I can be bothered with it.
With the rotary?
Just with that amount of gear.
Okay.
There's just too much hassle.
Well, there's your context, right? Because with what you're playing with that band, you didn't need it. But for what we did in the TPS band, you absolutely needed it.
Well, there's a couple of Stevie Ray songs which use it. Couldn't Stand the Weather and Tightrope.
Right.
So it's a really important part of the sound. Now, I haven't tried an alternative yet. So I might try an alternative and go, I can't deal with this.
Okay. Okay.
But, so I don't know.
yeah.
It's lovely to have it, but God, it's a faff.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's got to be on its whole other separate pedal board. I don't know. Like I said, a bit grumpy about complication and stuff at the moment. And that might be a reflection of band's really shaky, hasn't played together in 30 years. I haven't learnt my parts properly. It could be a complete projection of just not playing very well. Going, I can't be bothered with this because I'm not playing very well. So it's complex. Sound-wise, it's just great. By the way, if you think somebody just farted, they didn't. It was my shoes, and I'll do it again. Look, here we
Okay.
go. There you go. There's a. I had to download Instagram again just recently so we can start posting TPS videos again. And I did a bit of scrolling. Oh my god, there was one where a dog farts for like about 40 seconds. It's literally the best thing I've seen. I try and stay off social media because I find it deeply depressing, but we do have to do a bit. We have to work a bit harder for TPS, so I'm back on. Anyway, there you go. That wasn't a tangent at all, was it? Kira and Gina want to know: have you used any Effectro pedals? The Delta Trem is lovely.
Yeah,
Yes, we generally hold Effectrode in very high regard. Indeed.
indeed.
Phil, is it?
Yeah, they're it's not the pickup booster. It is the red. It's a red booster. Oh, what's it?
Fire bottle.
The fire bottle. Magic.
Is that Effectrode?
Yes.
Oh, right. We've also got one of his tube limiters as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Paul Tefler wants to know, is Dan wearing a shirt or a jacket?
A shacket.
Whose coat is that jacket, Dan?
Whose coat is that jacket? So this is the TPS
It's a
overshirt.
TPS work shirt. You can buy them in the TPS store, although we have very limited sizes of blue available. We've got khakis are coming back in, and we're just waiting on new stock for the blue ones. They've been extremely popular. Fabulous garment as it is.
Fabulous.
A wonderful value as well. Stylish. Johnny T say, is that why there's a hole in the stool, Mick? You got it. You got it. You got it right. To quote Paul Gilbert in Enemies in Jail. Yes. The vibe is extremely good, but we don't have one. Effectrode.
No, the vibe's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And finally in tonight, Scent of a Wheelchair Pillow. Simon posted some new content on YouTube last night. He was using a prototype reverb pedal. Any chance you will get one or try one when he finishes it? Is that, do you mean Simon Jarrett from Kingsley? Let's have a look. And if it is, then dead cert we will. Do you know about that?
First I've heard of it.
I don't know. I can't find it fast enough, I'm afraid. If it is Simon Jarrett, then yes, we will get to hear it. Very interested in that. Has he done a digi one, or has he done a springy one, or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
If Simon's done it, it will be extremely good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god, now I've gone into some.
St. Rosa says, ordered my Red Wing this weekend. Very excited. Good on you, mate.
Thank you. If you ordered it from that Pedal Show store, it got packed and sent today. So, or at least it got packed today. It may be being picked up tomorrow. Good. Okay. Thank you for being with us, everyone.
It was Simon J, says BB.
Ah, great.
Yes, there you go. Looking forward to it.
Very much looking forward to it.
Brilliant.
Yes. So, we are hoping that this weekend will be James Dean Bradfield from the Manic Street Preachers, pending two key events. One, me being able to get it edited in time, and two, it being cleared for copyright.
Right.
If that doesn't happen, we're in the Stuck for a show this Friday, so hopefully it will. Libraries gave us power down. and then work came and set us free. It's the Lounge Street Preachers. Libraries gave us power. So we'll see you Friday, and thanks for being with us. Then work came set us free. Libraries gave us power. Then work came and set us free. I said, what price now for a shallow piece of dignity? I wish I had a bottle right here in my stupid face to show the scars, to show from where I came. We don't talk about love. We only wanna get drunk.